If you have a business where you have things like opt-in pages or sale cards, you know that we have to send our audience through a funnel or a series of steps to get them to take action to buy our products or services or to opt into something. But did you know that we can be making some very costly mistakes when it comes to creating those funnels? This episode, we brought in funnel expert Alyson Lex, and she's going to be breaking down everything we need to know about some of those biggest mistakes and how we can correct them in order to make those sales, to get those leads, and to get those opt-ins. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Alyson Lex. I'm a direct response copywriter, and I work primarily on sales and launch and event funnels. So my job is to write all the words to get people to convert from audience to lead, lead to sale, and then get them to buy again.
And today we're actually going to be talking about funnels and how you can build them. And I love this conversation because we've actually been talking about building up those leads and lead gen and our email lists. So what do we need to know about creating effective funnels for our businesses?
Is that a question? Because I could talk on that for probably 3 days. But let's start with understanding if you don't know what a funnel is. All right, so I'm just going to really quick overview. It's based on that whole kitchen tool, right? You throw a lot of leads in here and you kind of squeeze them to take the action that you want. Sales funnel, you're going to see that term everywhere. You can just Google it. But what you really need to know is what you want them to do, what the objections are to getting them to do it, and where they are now versus where they want to be, because that's what's going to help you build it in the right way. There are a lot of other things you should know, like the tech on how to set it up and make it convert the best, the relationship that you have with the ideal person that's coming through so that you can speak to them the right way. But like I said, I could talk for 3 days on it.
And we do have a lot of resources on the YouTube page, so make sure you are following and subscribing. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of the fun. But when it comes to creating funnels, a lot of my audience has created their funnels. What is the most important step once they've kind of structured it a little bit to make sure it's actually going to work in their favor?
So the first thing when you're really putting together your funnel is to look at how complicated you've made it. Because there seems to be a trend these days with going for these super complex, in-depth, if-then rules for your funnel. And it's overwhelming. And it really does lead to the possibility of a lot of mistakes. Plus, when you over-automate in your business, and I know this might be weird to say when we're going to sit here and talk about automated funnels and sales funnels, don't over-automate. Allow the opportunity for that relationship to genuinely grow with you and your people, because ultimately that's what's going to sell for you. When let's pretend you've got it up and running, you've kept it simple, you've written amazing copy, it's out there, and now you're starting to see the results. I want you to understand the different checkpoints that I call conversion checkpoints, where people make a decision. Okay, so we're going to just use a simple lead magnet funnel, which would be some sort of ad, whether that's an organic social post, a video, maybe on YouTube, an ad that you've paid for, a postcard, I don't care. That's going to lead to a landing page, which is going to lead to a confirmation page, which should hopefully have another action for them to take, whatever that may be. Each one of those steps in between is a conversion checkpoint. Your ad to your page to your opt-in, your opt-in to action. And you might think, oh, my funnel doesn't work. But in reality, maybe 3/4 of your funnel works. You just need a better ad. And so you have a traffic problem if you're not getting a lot of hits. If you're getting a ton of hits, great ad, but not opt-ins, then you have a landing page problem. So by understanding where those conversion checkpoints are, you can really look at the effectiveness of the entire funnel by breaking it down.
I love that. So when people are creating these different steps and they're checking in with those checkpoints, how long should they be looking for in terms of that data to determine if we need to make a change or if we haven't waited long enough?
That is a fantastic question. And I have a client that we built this incredible funnel, and I could see the potential, and they only let 127 hits go to the landing page before they called it dead. Too soon, okay? When you're running Facebook ads, they say it takes a week for the ad to even learn. And then you need at least another week for it to produce any statistically significant data. So I want you to look at your overall audience size. Let's say you're marketing to 1,000 people. I wouldn't want you to make a decision until at least half of those people have had an opportunity to engage with you. Okay? Now, obviously, the bigger your audience, the smaller that percentage. So if you're marketing to 1 million people, we don't need 500,000 people to have had the opportunity, right? That percentage can get smaller, but basically you're looking to give it enough time to actually work. And I think that that's something that we as entrepreneurs really struggle with, is the jumping around and the shiny crazies, right? There's too many options. So if this one's not going to work right now, I'm going to go find one that does. The truth is, no matter what you do, it's going to take some time. Figure it out and go from there. Not everything's going to be a winner right up front, but you can improve when you know where the problem is, hence the conversion checkpoints.
Now, let's say we've got a funnel that we have tested, we've checked everything out, it's working really well. How often should we check in with that to see if we need to do any updates or tweaking on it, if it's something that's going to carry us through a longer period of time rather than one specific event?
I really like making sure that you have your finger on the pulse. That being said, there are people who run the same offer for years. I actually just created a brand new lead magnet for the first time in 6 years. So I've been using the same lead magnet for 6 years pretty successfully. I started to notice a drop in excitement about it, and that's when I started creating a new one. So keep a finger on the pulse. Check in with your numbers regularly. Weekly would be great. If you can't do weekly, please do bi-weekly. Don't let it go to monthly. Check in on your numbers and just get a feel. Eventually, you're going to get that gut feeling. You're going to just kind of know, but you still want to make sure that you know what your conversion rates are, you know what the ROI is, and how effective your stuff is at producing those customers you want.
I love that. Okay, so let's say we've created a funnel, we've got our different steps, and it's not converting in the way that we want. We talked a little bit about this, but let's really dig down deep on some of the steps we can take to make things more effective for us.
Okay, so there are 4 things that need to come together for your stuff to work. And it is the 4 M's. And it's actually, I always like to give credit. So Dan Kennedy, I used to work for him, but he had the triple M match, the triangle, and I added an M because I felt it was important. So it's the message, the market, the media, and the moment. All right. Is your message hitting the right person at the right place at the right time in their buying journey or in their day? Okay. So let's pretend that you're marketing to people who work a 9-to-5 job, and you email them on Monday morning at 10 a.m. their time. Are they going to read your email? No. That's a wrong moment. Okay. But let's pretend that you are a real estate agent helping people relocate, and you send a message to somebody who just bought a house. Also the wrong moment. They just bought, they're not going to buy again. So you see where wrong moment in their day or wrong moment in their buying journey. The media is obviously how you're getting in touch with them. The market is who you're going after. Do they really want what you have? And the message, this is where people get really hung up. And this is why I have the business that I have. So sometimes it's a tweak in messaging. And that's usually where I like to start because frankly, it's the quickest and the easiest. when you're changing copy, when you're testing things, first, if you have a software that allows you to split test, I personally use ClickFunnels, and they do have A/B testing, so I can do this. But most landing page builders do. You should be good. Don't think, hey, I'm going to do version A like this and then version B completely wildly differently, because then you're not going to know what worked or what didn't. I have a client that runs, they generate $1 million a month in sales. Okay, so their traffic costs are insane, which means if we can get a 0.5% increase in conversion rate, those are big numbers, both in ad spend and in revenue. And that's what we work for. We will spend time on 1 or 2 words in a headline and run that test for 3 days. Because again, high ad spend, the traffic comes in quickly, so he gets that statistical significance fast. Whereas a lower ad spend or what have you means that I'm going to need longer to get the same number of people or percentage of people. So tweak the headline, tweak the hook. And the hook is really just the whole premise, right? So what's the big deal right now is the hook. Tweak the offer, the price point, the call to action language, the name of your product, right? Like there are so many little things that you can test, and I want you to test those things. Start small if you have the time to wait. Not everybody does.
That does make a lot of sense. And because you have had so much experience and spent so much time creating these funnels, I know that you've got some really great background information on what works really well. So in general, what are some things we should be looking for to implement into our funnels that you've seen convert in a very high manner?
That is a really good question. Okay. Things that I've seen that work. The first thing is multiple modes of getting the information. I'm a big fan of, believe it or not, a video on a download landing page. Why? Because half of my audience loves video, the other half prefers to read. So why would I not take the opportunity to speak to both of them? Okay. The second thing is, and this kind of hurts my heart a little bit coming from the Dan Kennedy side of things where ugly converted, but that's not really the case anymore. You've got to be current. When people land on your thing, how updated you look is a direct indicator of how trustworthy you are. And especially if you're selling online, people have been scammed, they are iffy, they're unsure. So really make sure that you're putting your best foot forward design-wise so that you're not just kneecapping yourself right off the bat. The other thing is, don't be afraid to be long form, right? And I know the 7-second TikTok and all of this, we think that attention spans are shorter than ever, but I'll tell you, you're here hanging with us for how long right now? Because you're interested in what we have to say. There's value in it for you, okay? So be long form, but don't just make it a super hard pitch the whole time. Give them some value, and then that shows them how you can help them in the future. Give them tip number 1 and then tell them tips 2 through 100 are in your course, or give them a recipe and then sell them the juicer, right? Give them some value in your sales process, because that helps them understand that you're the one that has their best interest at heart. And the last thing that I'll say is, I mentioned it kind of way back at the beginning, but the relationship that you have with your people, that can't be built through a funnel. You can get them into your world, but it's up to you to make them want to stay there and want to make them go deeper. Make them want to go deeper. There we go. I work with words and I just flip them around when I can. But it's up to you. So show up for your people in the way that they need you to show up. It's really easy for us to be like, I don't want to do that, so I'm not gonna do that. But if your people need this in order to want to buy from you, why wouldn't you give them that?
It's so important to be able to speak to people in the way that they need to be spoken to in order to take that action. And I really like that you pointed out that with these things like our opt-in pages and our sales pages and things that are going to convert, it's not only okay, but beneficial to be longer form. Because at that point, people have already made the choice to click on the page. Your ads have done what they were supposed to do, or your conversations, your TikToks, your Instagrams have directed them to this page. So they've already taken that small step. Now they want to hear more. So in your experience, do you go for those medium-sized funnel pages, or do you go for really long form? Like, what is your take on all of this?
I play where the audience needs me to play. Okay, so I have a client whose audience is used to the super long form, and so that's what we write. I think the last sales page I delivered to her was topping out at 20 some pages in a Google Doc. That's a lot. Now, headlines were bigger, okay? It wasn't all just 12-point font, but still, it's a lot. I delivered some copy yesterday to a client who teaches short form video content like Reels and TikTok. I kept that one shorter because that's what her audience is used to. So play around with it. Now, with opt-in pages, there was a trend a number of years ago, and I very successfully leveraged it, where it was literally above the fold was the whole page, right? It was just one screen, headline, button, done, maybe a picture. And they worked really well. But now those aren't working the same way. I use, even for a PDF downloadable guide, I use a long form opt-in page. I put my bio, my info, what they can expect to receive, the details. I put all of that on there. Now, the key with however long you're going, this is my little trick, is on a desktop computer or laptop, even maybe tablets, but don't worry about mobile for what I'm about to say. You want to make sure once you have your call to action, your sign up, buy, whatever, the button is no more than 1.5 computer mouse scrolls. So I'm going to hold up my mouse, that little scrolly wheel, 1.5 of those between buttons. The key is we do not want them to have to search to take action. Okay, so on an opt-in page, yes, I have the headline, maybe a video, a button, and then I tell them what they can expect, have a little bit of what I call connection copy, which is the emotional stuff, and then a button. Then I tell them about me, then I give them my last call to action and a button. 3 buttons on one opt-in page. Don't make them search.
I love adding buttons to my opt-in pages to make it really easy. So as we're wrapping up today's conversation, do you have any tips for us to make our funnel creation easier for us?
There are templates and examples and things out there that you can look at and refer to and incorporate. If you see someone running the same ad on Facebook or Instagram or wherever for 2 months, get into their funnel and look at what they're doing because it means it's working, right? Build a swipe file. You can look up how to do it. I use Evernote. I could talk on that for a whole 20 minutes, but just there are templates and examples and people out there marketing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and start from scratch.
That's fantastic. And we actually have videos here on the channel on how you can be looking at what other people in your industries and in your areas are doing so that you can see what's working, particularly with their Facebook ads. So make sure you check those out on the channel as well. Alyson, this has been a fantastic conversation. Where can everybody connect with you online?
My life online is alysonlex.com, and that is ALYSONLEX. I usually have a sign behind me, but blame my mom for that. So ALYSONLEX.com. I'm also Alyson Lex on Facebook, at Alyson Lex on Instagram. I have a TikTok with 2 videos of silly filters, so don't even bother going there. And I also have a podcast, System to Thrive, which is on your favorite podcast platform.
Now, Alyson is coming back for another episode, so make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell. And if you've got questions on your funnel, go ahead and drop those down below for us. We're going to be monitoring your questions over the next couple of days and weeks. I want to make sure that we get those answered for you so that we can get Alyson back for even more episodes. And hit that subscribe and notification bell because we're dropping daily tips on how you can level up your business, learn to navigate Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and live streaming, and take the time commitment out of being present on social media so you can get back to running your business and doing the things that you love. I'll see you in the next episode.